Your Highness Sheikh Mansour bin Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Chairman of Dubai Border Security Council, Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, Ambassadors, Consul Generals, Commissioner Generals of Expo Pavilions, friends, we have reached the final milestone of the RewirEd Summit. We've been waiting for this moment for 3 years, and thank you, Your Highness, for giving us the time to be in this historical moment. It's a moment that we will all remember, and as per that video that we saw, we don't want to see those years coming ahead, and we will all ensure that education will be preserved, and even we will take it much forward with everyone you see here from over 60 countries, Your Highness. We began planning for the RewirEd Summit 3 years ago with an aim to address the key issues that were challenging the very foundation of the global education ecosystem. We conclude the summit today with an aim to implement the key solutions that we hope will resonate and reinstate that same foundation, and more importantly, make it stronger and more resilient for the future. From issues to solutions, from challenges to opportunities, from the past to the future, the journey of the RewirEd Summit has been marked by our shared commitment to reclaim the powerful and transformational role of education, empowering young lives, enabling sustainable progress, and elevating the whole of humanity. First and foremost, this journey would not have been possible without the tremendous guidance of our country's leadership. The success culmination of the summit is a direct outcome of the vision of His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, the Vice President and Prime Minister of the UAE and ruler of Dubai, to position the UAE as one of the strongest and most active advocates for global education reform. So at the outset, I would like to thank our UAE government for being our biggest source of inspiration and the principal guiding force behind its resounding success that we are all witnessing here today. I also would like to thank each one of you for turning the summit into one of the most significant moments in history of education. Collaboration, both on a local and international level, is central to the UAE's core ethos. And this gathering is yet another shining showcase of our country's enduring belief in the power of partnership. And as we conclude the summit today, I find myself asking 3 simple questions. First, why did we host the summit? Our education system has been in a dire need of transformation for the last many decades. When we think about technology, for instance, for our grandparents and even parents, a smartphone was a novelty, a unique device that could do things they had never been imagined were possible. But for my children, the internet is an intrinsic part of their day-to-day lives that they take for granted, like most children around the world. However, at the same time, the educational practices from my parents' time and radically different from my children's. Believe it or not, but our education ecosystem is operating under the same principles for the past 120 years. While at Dubai Cares, we have been cognizant of this reality, the COVID-19 pandemic showed us why this needs to change immediately. And that, in a nutshell, is the answer to my first question. My second question, have we been successful in what we set out to achieve? Now, while I understand that we cannot undo 120 years in 3 days alone, we need to start somewhere. To me, the RewirEd Summit represents that unique starting point that is unlike no other we have witnessed before, because of the following reasons. The conversations that have taken center stage over the last 3 days were not just from the likely traditional voices. They also took into account the expertise and perspectives of the unlikely, the new, and the disruptive voices as well. Take, for example, the Innovation Education in Africa pitch from day 2. That left us amazed with out-of-the-box thinking from emerging but supremely promising innovators from the continent. Let's also take a moment to think about the RewirEd Provocations session that saw us look at systemic educational challenges from a completely different lens, with an eye-opening and a bold approach through innovation experimentation. The dialogues that inspired over the 3 days also served as a solid backdrop for some real, concrete, and tangible outcomes for the betterment and empowerment of both children and youth. Consider, for instance, the launch of the Sharjah Child-Friendly School and Nurseries Toolkit by the Sharjah Child-Friendly Office. Guided by the Convention on the Rights of the Child and experience of UNICEF worldwide, this toolkit focuses on implementing rights-based approaches to education and evidence pertaining to children's development. For young people between the ages 15 to 24, the launch of the Passport to Earning initiative by Accenture, Dubai Cares, Microsoft, and UNICEF heralds get news as it gives them an opportunity to access free, certified, and skilled training to prepare better for the future. And most importantly, we did not waste this opportunity to come under one roof for the first time since the pandemic to come up with temporary solutions based on acute needs. We did not shy away from having an upfront discussion and putting uncomfortable topics on the table. Instead, we put our heads together in exploring the education crisis from all angles and perspectives to ensure that we can safeguard its future in the long term. The launch of the RewirEd Global Declaration on Connectivity for Education with Unesco, for example, will go a long way in ensuring that access to digital connectivity becomes an intrinsic aspect of learning, so no child on this planet has to struggle and suffer because of where they were born or whom they were born to, or because of a devastating act of nature of external forces. Similarly, a high-level discussion drawing from UNESCO's flagship publication on the futures of education that proposes ideas on how to remake education towards 2050 also put the spotlight on how we can accelerate progress towards sustainable development goals in the most meaningful manner. My final and perhaps the most critical question to myself was, what's next? Before the pandemic, we were already grappling with serious concerns around children and youth's education. But when COVID-19 hit us, it magnified the picture of the broken, fragmented state of the global education system, and even more. We can all agree that one summit is not enough to tackle these challenges, and that it will take more than radical ideas and disruptive dialogues to enable lasting change. But as we wrap up the summit, I want to assure you that our commitment to shaping this narrative with you extends beyond a 3-day event. RewirEd is a global platform with a clear vision to rewire education for a prosperous and sustainable future. And to achieve this vision, we remain dedicated in our efforts to continuing to collaborate, reflect, innovate, and radicalize alongside you. While we have reason to celebrate all our achievements from the summit today, let us not forget that the road to real success, the road that leads every child to a classroom and every young individual to a decent and dignified job, is still under construction. In light of absolutely everything that we have gone through in the last 2 years in particular, let us pledge to disrupt our present so our tomorrow is not disrupted by any external force once again. To defend our current achievements so our future progress is not jeopardized once again. And to deliver on our promise to the coming generations so their existence does not become a question once again. Thank you very much.